There we go. All right, so the recording is underway. Welcome to the February business meeting for the West Desert Amateur Radio Club. A agenda that I've got so far, and we may fuss with that a little bit. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll get our minutes from January from Rona, the Treasurer's Report from Mert, and then Tyler, we'll have you kind of talk about some of the upcoming events. And then our main topic for this evening is something I'm going to present, which is on FM digital modes. And then whatever discussion we need, and we'll be done. So that's kind of what the agenda is. Let's go with the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's see, Rob Andrews, past president, are you on? Okay, he didn't make it yet.
I'll be glad to lead that if you'd like, Roland.
Yeah, go right ahead. You've got it.
All righty, everybody, let's do this. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay, going back to the agenda. Rona, would you like to give us the minutes from the previous meeting?
Yes, I will. West Desert Amateur Radio meeting held on January 6, 2021 via Zoom at 7 p.m. Meeting started with the welcome from President Roland Smith. The pledge was led by Mike Stewart, introduction to the new officers. President Roland Smith, Vice President Tyler Wilson, Wendover Vice President Blake Hutchison, Secretary Rona Boutwell, Treasurer Mert Russo. Treasurer's report was given by Mert Russo, motion by Mike Stewart, seconded by Robert Andrews. Motion to accept was accepted by the club. Ray Riding will be doing embroidery shirts again with call sign and club sign. For those that are interested, he's also working on having hats available. The presidency is working on grants, with ARRL. We're looking for ways of getting the youth involved. We are wanting to change banks. The current institution isn't working with accessibility of the banking times for members of the presidency. Request to change the bank of club account. A motion approved by Robert Andrews, seconded by Tyler Wilson, approved by the club. Minutes read by Rona Boutwell. Motion to accept by Mike Stewart, seconded by Robert Andrews. Motion to accept by the club. Dennis Tracy gave information about Reads Across America. Roland Smith delivered the report on severe weather exercise that was conducted December 30th. COVID-19 vaccines will be available through the count to the club. As radio club, we are considered first responders and are able to get the vaccine early for those that want it. Tyler Wilson did a presentation on plans for upcoming year events. Plans include virtual boot camp, possibly February or March, soda and POTA, summit on the park on the air, fox hunts, emergency events, exercises, technician class, general class, ARRL field day, and Santa on the air event were some of the suggestions. Motion to adjourn meeting by Tyler Wilson, seconded by Mike Stewart, accepted by the club. Meeting was adjourned at 8:10 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody have any changes or any other comments related to the minutes?
I move that they be accepted.
Okay, who was that?
Roger.
Okay, so I have a motion to accept. Do I have a motion do I have a second?
I'll second that.
And who was that?
That was the club chief seconder, Mike Stewart.
Okay. The problem, when you motion or second, we just need to have you say your name so that Rona can get that written down.
I was just listening to Rona's minutes, and it seemed like I seconded everything last month. So
Yeah,
anyway, I second that. This is Mike.
okay. So our next topic is the treasurer's report. Excuse me. Let me remove the spotlight and get to Mert.
I'll just start talking.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there were no deposits and no bills paid last month. It was kind of a slow month. January 2021 was pretty slow. So the starting balance and ending balance was the same, $659 and 64 cents. So we do have 2 bills that need to be paid to Roland for the website, URL website, and then to Rob for the screwdrivers from Christmas. So those 2 bills will be paid this month.
Okay.
Other than that,
So
sorry, go ahead, Rob.
So been no activity in the bank account. We are switching banks as we agreed to do last term or last meeting, and we'll have that done. So anyway, do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
This is Roger.
Scott Murdoch will motion to accept that.
Okay, Scott Murdoch motioned. Can I have a second?
I second it, Roger.
Roger seconds the motion. All in favor? And
Aye.
so if anybody is opposed, unmute and say so. Okay. The
Can we get a motion to approve paying
yep,
Roger?
that's coming
Hello?
up next. So
Okay.
let me get this thing done. Okay. We've gotten our annual bill from Bluehost for the domain name for the West Desert Amateur Radio Club website. The renewal for that is $17.99. The bill has actually been paid. I would like to, however, get reimbursed for that. So if does anybody have, well, first off, can I have a motion to approve paying the bill?
I make a motion to approve the payment of the bill. This is N7 PVN.
Okay,
How
Rob
much
is
was that? How much was that bill for?
$17.99.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that. This is Mike, KJ7BTL.
Okay, thank you, Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? If you're opposed, please unmute and say so. Okay, now the second bill that needs to be paid, we've already approved it. We approved it back in December. It just hasn't been paid.
It'll be
that's-
paid.
Yeah, that's the one to Rob for like $4.75 or something for the screwdrivers that we gave away in December at the December meeting. Okay. Does anybody else have anything else they would like to bring up before we move on to Tyler to talk about upcoming events? Okay, Tyler, go
I
ahead.
have one question. Robin Fredrickson was saying that her ham license is expired, but she's never gotten any paperwork or anything. How do you go about that? How she needs some assistance with getting that, I should say. She might want to contact her.
Okay, so the question is how do you go about renewing your license?
Yeah, Robin Fredrickson, she was just telling me, we checked her license and her license is up to be expired in the middle of March or middle of May. And so she was just wondering, what does she have to do to get her license renewed? So you might need to reach out to Robin just to see what what there needs to be done.
Okay, I would definitely do that. But just for everybody else's information, you can renew the license 90 up to 90 days before the license expires, and then for 2 years after that. You just can't exercise your license after it's expired. It's done on the
Universal
website
license.
for the Federal Communications Commission on their ULS website. It's just essentially all you got to do is fill out a form, and it's done. If you're a member of the ARRL, they will do it for you automatically. You don't have to worry about it. If you're an ARRL member, they just automatically at the end, 90 days before your license expires, they will renew it for you. Now, sometime this year, probably in the late spring, the FCC is going to start charging $35 for a license renewal, or for a license upgrade. That's essentially $3.50 a year, because the license is good for 10 years. But they're going to start charging it. It has not yet been determined how they are, how that charge is going to get levied, and how people, are we going to collect it when we do the exam? I don't have any good information about how that's going to occur. We just know that sometime later this spring, it does require congressional action. And but my understanding is that the bill has been introduced into the House Ways and Means Committee to get that that congressional action underway. So just be aware. So if you're going to upgrade your license, or you're going to get a license, do it now, before this problem comes up. Okay. Next thing I want to do before we get to Tyler, I see Robin Fredrickson has joined us. Robin, welcome.
Thank you.
And Robin wants to talk with us a little bit about the Great American Shakeout, which is scheduled for April 15th.
Yeah, well, it's the Great Utah Shakeout.
Yeah, Great Utah Shakeout. So,
although of other states do a shakeout, but ours is in April on the 15th. And the Tooele County Emergency Management has decided that we are going to test Orion, the disaster system that we use. Also, we're going to help businesses check on their own businesses and see what their gaps and things that they might happen to have happened during an earthquake, and also churches. So we're reaching out to the businesses and churches and our communications to the EOC. So there's going to be a couple of ways to communicate to the EOC. They can make their report through Orion. They can make their report through text, or they can, if they have an amateur radio person within their organization, we would love for them to contact the frequency for that area, and then it would be relayed to the EOC. So it's a big one. So we need lots of people, and we also need more. We're going to have an Orion training. So anybody who's interested in learning the Orion program can join us. That hasn't been set yet, but it'll be sometime in the early April before the shakeout, I think, is when we're planning on it. So it's kind of creeped up on us, because I thought we were still in January, and here it is February. So
okay, so the actual activity will be on April 15th, right?
Right. And they usually the earthquake starts at 10:15, and then within the hour, each who has signed up to participate will need to have reported in that next hour, and then we'll have them do another report, and then have it like little go-to meeting where they can come and discuss what they might need or what they might be able to help the community with in case, there was something that was needed. Because as you know, the fire department and emergency management and police and EMS cannot be everywhere. So if we can utilize our community resources together, we're that much better off. So we thought we'd start bringing the partners together and to just have a little practice and see what we can do and test that Orion system. Because although we've used it, we haven't put it to the max test, like lots of people
Yep.
putting in information all at the same time and it going to the GIS system. So anyway, we've got some work to do, but we're excited about doing that exercise on the 15th of April.
Okay, well, we're definitely in and would like to be part of the planning.
Awesome.
Okay. Thanks, Robin. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you guys too.
Okay. All right. So let's go over to Tyler now. He's going to talk to us a little bit about what's coming up.
All right, sorry, it took me a second to find the unmute button. So we just had our executive officer meeting for the club, and we're starting to flesh out our calendar with the activities, the meeting presentations and trainings, the Elmer Nights, and the extra exercises that we're going to be doing throughout the year. And we're going to try and keep you guys busy, give you plenty of opportunities to get out and do radio stuff. The very first thing, 17th of February will be our next Elmer Night. And I'm going to do a presentation on DIY 2-meter antennas. I'm far from an expert, but in the year that I've been a ham radio operator, I've built 3, and I've got plans for 1 more that I found on Facebook the other day. So I'll present these 4 different 2-meter antennas that I've built, and tell you how to build them and give you a bill of materials and so on and so forth. And next, after that, well, actually starting before that, Roland will be teaching a technician class February 9th through March 9th with a test session to follow after the completion of that class. In March, we are looking at a presentation on Summits on the Air in March. We haven't nailed down the instructor for that yet, but that's what we hope to be presenting on, is how to do a SOTA activation, or how to be a SOTA hunter, how to hunt summits. For our Elmer Night in March, we're going to have a presentation on HIPAA. Now, if you don't work in the healthcare field, you may not know what HIPAA is. I don't even know what the acronym stands for. Health Information something, right? That's the law that says your doctor can't sell your medical information to anybody. What has that got to do with ham radio? Well, if we're in an emergency situation and we're taking in evacuees to a Red Cross shelter, we need to be aware when we send information across the air. What are the rules and regulations involved in sending people's healthcare information over the air? So we're going to have a presentation on that to help us prepare for our role as first responders. And then also in March, we are hoping to put together our virtual boot camp. We're going to have 1 keystone presentation and 6 breakout presentations on various topics related to ham radio. And we're excited to get that put together. That'll be towards the middle or the ending of March. Then, of course, we've got the Great Shakeout in April. We're going to have our meeting topic in April will be preparation for the Great Shakeout. What we as a club are planning to do, and what you as an operator can expect to do during that exercise. And then, of course, the Great Shakeout on April 15th. The Elmer night for that month is we're going to have a presentation on emergency solar power, a great topic to have when we're talking about earthquakes, right? Earthquake knocks out the power. How do you get power to that radio so you can call for help or make your earthquake reports, as the case may be? We got a lot more tentatively on the calendar, but that's what we've got nailed down so far. I do have the list of volunteers that contacted me after our meeting last month, and I really do appreciate all the enthusiasm and willingness to help there is. We definitely will be calling on more than one of you in the very near future to help us present something to the club. So keep that in mind. And if you come up with any more topics that you would like to see us do, please send us an email. My email is my call sign, KJ7TCW, Kilo Juliet 7, Tango Charlie Whiskey @gmail.com. That's all we have for the calendar, Roland. Back to you.
There we go. Very good. Thank you, Tyler. Are there any questions or comments or anything anybody would like to bring up about upcoming activities? Or is there an activity that you want us to do that we haven't talked about?
This is Mike, KJ7BTL. I have a question about the virtual boot camp, Tyler. Will all of those sessions be recorded? So if I can only attend one Keystone and maybe one or two breakout sessions and I want to attend more, will that be available?
Yes, good point, Mike. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, all sessions will be recorded and links posted at completion of the boot camp. So absolutely, good question, Mike.
Excellent, thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else have a question
This is
related?
Robin.
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure that all that information gets sent to me so that I can share it on collaboration night. Because I think there would be people interested in, participating, and especially, any of the ham classes that you're going to be doing. So, yeah.
Okay, Robin, Tyler maintains this in a Google Doc, and why don't we just share it with you?
That'd be great.
Okay.
Perfect.
But we will make that happen as well.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything for Tyler?
One activity I was hoping to do is a fox hunt, if that was on there.
You're on our list. You're on our list, Scott. We haven't nailed down a date for that yet, but we will be doing a fox hunt sometime during the summer, probably when the weather's good.
Actually, I think we're going to do 2 or 3 of them.
Yep, absolutely. That's pretty easy activity. We just need a couple of volunteers to put out the fox and send out the information for where to look for it. But yes, you are on our list, and we will be doing some fox hunts. Thanks, Scott.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, Scott, Tyler, thank you very much. And I've neglected at the beginning of the meeting to excuse Blake, who's the KF6CLU, the vice president for Wendover. Blake's been down with, well, I don't know. I'm hoping it's not COVID-19, and so is he, but he's definitely been down and really under the weather. And so he won't be able to join us here this evening. Okay, so our main topic tonight is one that I wanted to talk about for a little bit for some time. And so I need to do just a couple of things here to get my screen set up. Okay, very good. Now, I need to share that screen, and then I can do this. All right. Hopefully everybody can see this FM digital operations. I'm going to talk a
I'm
little
not-
bit about why
I'm not seeing that, Roland.
you're not seeing anything. Okay, let me.
I still see you.
What's that?
We see you.
Let me make sure I've got something screen to shared.
There we go. Now something's sharing.
Okay, now there's something there. Okay.
Yeah.
Looks better.
Now let's see if there's something else there. Does it say
Yes.
FM digital operations now?
Perfect.
Okay, good enough. Now we're ready to go. The the way we get tasked, and in the case of an incident or an emergency, happens kind of in the following way. The Tualatin County Emergency Management can give us tasking directly. They can also give some kind of tasking off to Tuala Responds. Now, Tuala Responds is essentially responsible for all volunteer activities that are going on. So if any particular entity requires or needs volunteers, then they can go to Tuala Responds and get those volunteers. And that includes us. And so we can get tasking from Tuala Responds as well. When we get that tasking, whatever it is, whether it might be to do Orion damage assessments, or maybe it has to do with providing communication support somewhere or something, that tasking comes to me as the emergency coordinator for Tuala County, and also as president of the club. And from there, I've determined who has who is qualified to fulfill the assignments based on the information that we have in our database about you and your radios and your capabilities, what training you have, whether you've got the ICS training, and that sort of thing. And then I will make assignments to qualified amateur radio operators. They would then communicate their information back to area net control operators, who enter that information into a web form or whatever. It comes into us at the Emergency Operations Center in the amateur radio room. We put it into the Web EOC application. That's the incident management system used by Tuala County Emergency Management. And then it becomes available for the emergency operations people. Then they may make additional requests, which would then just come back up around and follow this loop, kind of an affair. Now that's what has been set up, and what and how our tasking works. Okay, let me go to the next slide. So some of the issues are that things go, amateur radio operators pass their information, the ANC verbally, the ANC enters the information into a web form, or if it's priority information, they would call it in on the radio, and by way of the repeater. And then at the ham radio room at the EOC, we write it up or print it out or somehow put it into the web EOC for action, kind of an affair. Just a second here. Turn you off. So these are some of our issues. At least half the communication flow was verbal, either from the ham radio operators that have been tasked to the area net control operators is verbally done. And then some of it, if it's priority traffic, it's also done verbally by way of the repeaters to get that information in as quickly as possible. It's prone to mistakes. Sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes it's pretty complicated. If you've got a list of things to report, getting it spelled correctly and so on is often problematic and has issues associated with it. It also doesn't provide a good data trail. from the person who reported it all the way through to it gets into WebEOC or gets actioned at the Emergency Operations Center. We don't have a good data trail, associated with it. And it really only works well as if we're in low volume traffic situations. Okay, so we've got a couple of potential solutions, and we'd like to get them in place here in the county. One of them, and the one we're most interested in working on first, is something called NBEMs, Narrowband Emergency Messaging System. It's based around a digital product called FLDigi. Makes use of a second product called FL Message, which is an email messaging type application, and FL Wrap, which that makes compresses and gives forward error correction capability so that we know that the message when it's received was received what was sent. And it works very well simplex, and it works very, very well over the repeater. NBEMS has been adopted by just about every ARIES amateur radio emergency services club in the United States. Uses NBEMS as their digital communications system. There's also a capability called WinLink, and that's something we also want to put into our arsenal, or as one of the arrows to put in our pack. It's essentially an email system for being able to send email over the radio. It works very well peer-to-peer, and if you if we put the right equipment in place, it will also work through a internet gateway so that you can either send or receive email anywhere in the world. On the HF side, if you're a general class operator or higher, you would have access to internet gateways everywhere. I use WinLink often, particularly when we're traveling, and it's particularly useful when we're in Yellowstone, for instance, where there is absolutely no cell service or data service of any kind, but I can still receive and send email by way of the radio. Okay, there are pros and cons for both of them. On the NBEM side, the pros are that FLDigi as a program is in by itself just a really good keyboard-to-keyboard communications program, kind of like text messaging back and forth. FL Message has lots of templates, and so for instance, there's a template for all of the ICS forms that need to be filled out and sent and whatever. FL Wrapped gives us an ability to have very, very high confidence in the communications process that what was sent is what was received. And it is really fast over HF and VHF and UHF frequencies. And it's very robust, and there's no need for any internet infrastructure at all to be able to send data back and forth. On the con side, it works best in a net environment. That is everybody on the same frequency, set of frequencies, and communicating. Now, everybody's not communicating exactly on the same frequency. There's a band spread, and one person could be over here, another person could be over here, communicating, in that kind of a fashion. But on the other hand, everybody who's on the net gets everything that's sent, and there's no methodology for being able to connect this email system to the internet and through the internet. WinLink, on the pro side, it looks very much like Outlook. So if somebody's used Outlook, they know how to use WinLink once it's set up. The email is directed at specific recipients. It works well even when the receiving side is unattended. Essentially batches them up and holds them and puts them in an inbox. And when you get back, you can read whatever's in the inbox. As I said, it has the potential for internet connections. which is already set up. The infrastructure is already there and really robust on HF, and it can be made to work on VHF, UHF as well. The cons side, it's an email only solution. There's no keyboard to keyboard or text messaging type of capability in it. And it does have a bit of a learning curve, associated with it. So if we were to have this capability, what would change in this process? One of the things that would change is, let me find my mouse. There it is. From this area right here, the qualified amateur radio operator, they would be able to send their data directly here. And at the same time, it can get there to the area net control operator. That's one of the first things. The second one is when the Emergency Operations Center has additional tasking, instead of having to go up around this way, it can go this direction and then go to the operators for work. And there's a good paper trail the whole way. Kind of an affair on it. It's a very useful system. Now, some of you have worked on events like the Salt Flat Endurance Run. Tyler, I think you've worked on the endurance run, haven't you?
Yes, I worked on the Squaw Peak 50 miler.
Yeah. And how did you send your information back and forth? Was it by voice or by data?
Well, it was very interesting. There was an app developed by the same guy that developed the Ham Study app, and it's called Runner Track, I believe is the name of it. Basically, they would give us a roster of the runners, and then as they came into our aid station, we would simply have to type their bib number into the application, and it would mark them as arriving at our aid station at the time, and then we would mark them again when they left. To transmit that information up, we would take our cell phone, which was running the app, and we would push the button and it would generate the noise. Sounded like a modem, right? And we would hold that up to our radio and transmit it up to the net control operators, and they would do the reverse. They would hold their speaker up to their computer microphone and it would download. And so in a matter of 30 seconds of that modem sounding noise, it would transmit 30, 40 different runners, their arrival and departure time from my aid station. And it gave, what it did is the fans and the families watching on the website, it gave them very near real-time updates as to where their loved ones were on the course, because they could see when they arrived at and left all of the aid stations. And it was so much easier than trying to read a list of names or bib numbers and arrival and departure times. You just hit the button on the app and hold your radio up next to it and wait till the noise stops, and then the net control station would confirm to you how many runners it received.
Okay, thank you. Nina and I, for many years, have supported a Scout Mountain Ultra Trail race up in Pocatello. This race is a 100-mile race that's run over about a 36-hour period of time up in the mountains, and there is no cell service. And so consequently, all the communication either has to be by voice or by data. And in that system, we've always made use of the FL Digi system to be able to send runner information back and forth. And some of the pieces of information you need to know is, sometimes runners drop out, and so they're not going to show up at your aid station. So you shouldn't be listening for them or watching for them. Well, that information has to be communicated, and it has to be clear, so that at my aid station, I know exactly who I should expect and who I shouldn't expect. By using this type of a system, we eliminate the requirement to hold your cell phone up to your microphone, because we can transfer the information directly going through the system. So how does it work, essentially? Essentially, you got to have some software loaded on your computer. It's all free. It's all free and open source software. You just need to have a computer that's got a USB port associated with it. From there, you got to connect. You need to connect through a sound card to your radio, through a sound card interface to your radio. The sound card interface can be as little as $7.95 all the way up to $195, depending upon what capabilities and so on you want associated with it. And mostly depending upon what your radio has, what capability your radio has, associated with it. So from a computer standpoint, NBeams runs on Windows, any Windows system from XP up through Windows 10. It runs very, very nicely on a Macintosh computer. So if you're a Mac fan, then you might find that to be very useful. It runs nicely on Linux, and it runs really well on a Raspberry Pi, and which is a little $45 computer, kind of an affair. The software for NBeams is downloaded from this site here. Oh, come on back. Let's see if we can bring this guy up. Okay. Can you see that web page?
Yes.
Okay, good. So here's all of the all of the software. If you say you want to download it, you click on it here. The next screen will take you to which system are you downloading it for. You're downloading it for Windows, you're downloading it for Mac, you're downloading it for Linux or Raspberry Pi or something. There's some reasonably good documentation for it, some online help stuff, as well as a fairly comprehensive manual that's associated with it. There were a number of packages there, but these are the three of them that we want: FLDigi, FLWrap, and FLMessage. There's also a package called FLRig, which, if you've got computer-assisted transport, CAT capability on your radio, then FLDigi can actually control your radio, and by way of FLRig. The sound card interface, there are a couple of really important things about that and what it does and why. The most important thing is it isolates your computer from the radio so that one of them doesn't damage the other in the process. It allows the data sounds to get across, but the voltages and currents and so on are kept independent on each side of the equation. So the software on the computer generates sounds to be transmitted and sends them to the radio by way of the sound card interface to be transmitted. So essentially what happens is the speaker out on your computer is sent to the microphone in on the radio, and then the speaker out on the radio is sent to the microphone in on the computer. And most of these sound cards are actually USB devices. Just plug it into your computer and it gives you a new microphone and a new speaker for the radio. What type and model of a sound card depends upon, well, it actually really depends upon the radio. But one of the factors is how the radio is going to be switched from receive to transmit. If the radio has VOX, voice activated transmission, sometimes that works reasonably well. As soon as the FLDigi starts sending data to the radio automatically switches to transmit, and the data gets transmitted. The question is how quickly will the Vox take effect? And will you lose any part of the data, as that transition from receive to transmit occurs? There are some settings you can make in FLDigi that will fix that or help with that. You can tell it to send a carrier for a certain length of time before it starts sending data, which would then hopefully give the radio enough time to switch into transmit mode before the data starts coming across. Some of the more expensive sound cards systems will actually generate and do the push to talk, so that as soon as FLDigi starts sending, it will switch the radio into transmit mode and do it very, very efficiently. So the sound card interfaces can run anywhere from $10 to $125, depending upon the capability of the radio. This one, this link didn't show up as a link, but nevertheless, this is a $7.95 sound card, and works actually reasonably well. The this one here on top is a Signal Link. This is a very versatile sound card interface, and I've got one, and I'm going to show it to you in just a minute. The one on the bottom is from West Mountain Radio. Their Rig Blaster series. This is also a really, really capable system. For instance, if we, let's see, click on that and see if that'll come up. Yeah, it does. It's, this model right here for $119. And it's very, very, very capable, kind of a feel. And if your radio is capable of being computer controlled, it does that computer control as well. Okay, most modern radios, desktop or mobile radios, have a data jack in the back. Most of them are either a 6-pin DIN round jack or a DB9 jack, on the back of them. The most handheld radios under $250 do not have a data jack in them. So, for instance, this $395 radio from ICOM has a data jack in it, and I can connect this directly to my computer through a special sound card interface, and this thing runs really, really well on the digital modes. Many of you have this kind of a radio. It's a Baofeng. The Baofeng does not have a data jack in it, but there is a solution for that one as well.
Hey, Roland.
Yeah.
The Baofeng does make the BTEC radio, which is a little tri-band radio, 25 watt, and it's got a data port on the back as well.
Yeah.
They're running about $100.
That's actually a kind of a nice little radio, and it's fairly new to the market. So there is but for just your regular standard okay, coming back to where I was, if the radio doesn't have a data port, then the microphone and headphone jacks can be used. And which kind of sound card interface you need depends upon the radio. If it has if the microphone jack is not just a jack you plug in, but one of those DIN jacks, it's got several pins associated with it, then you need a little bit more complex system and a sound card, a different, more complex sound card. So what about your Baofeng radio? The BTEC makes a interface cable that goes and this little area right here, that's the actual sound card interface built into the cable, and so it plugs into your computer. By the way, it comes in two types. It can either come as a USB plug on the end, or it can come as a this has got four position that will plug into most modern computers that have both the microphone and headphone jack in one jack. Kind of affair. And this cable works really quite nicely. So where do I want to go from here? The first thing I really want to do is I want to get N-beams working. I'd like to get a few of you actually doing some of this digital communications. And so I'm going to set up a online Zoom discussion. It's going to happen, that anybody that's interested can go ahead and get on the Zoom meeting with us, and we'll start working through how to do it, just, how the setup, what your particular setup is, what kinds of questions or issues do you have, to try and help you get yourself, operating. But once we've got a couple of, a few people that are set up and operating, then we're going to start holding a regular FL DigiNet. And checking in and doing the whole process all by way of digital keyboard to keyboard type communications. Once we've got the the FL Digi reasonably well working, then the next step is to get to let's see, we got a lot of chat going on. Okay, all right. Nothing I need to worry about. Once we get that working, then I want to start putting some concentration into getting WinLink operating as well. I know Scott is very interested in getting WinLink and getting working on that. I think he's planning to go some remote locations this year and wants to be able to get to his email. What I think is probably all about. So let's see. All right, so I thought maybe it might be interesting to see some of this stuff and what it actually kind of looks like. So we're going to end the slideshow. Okay. And I'm going to switch cameras as soon as I do that. And I'm going to spotlight me. And now I'm going to switch cameras. Okay. So this is just a little camera looking down at my desk. So this is the VTech, the VTech cable for the Raspberry Pi. The one I have is essentially for my Mac computer. Hopefully you can see that. It doesn't quite look like it's in focus. Oh well. Yeah, so, I bought it because I was using it with my Macintosh computer, and my Mac has an all-in-one jack, and I can plug into that. This is the sound card piece right here. And then this is the standard plug that fits into a Baofeng radio. Put the Baofeng onto Vox mode, and it works, pretty well. The difficulty you have with a Baofeng radio is that it's only 4 watts unless you've got a BF8, which is about 7 watts, and you kind of need to have a not to have a car or a house around you, when you're trying to use it, but it does work, and it works pretty well. The other sound card interface. Okay, so here is one. This is $7.95. got a plug on one side for the microphone, the other side for the speaker. It's got a USB interface. You plug it in to your radio, and so one of these plugs goes to the microphone input on your radio, and the other one goes to the speaker output on the radio. And this works, pretty well. And for less than $10 and the price of a couple of these male-to-male cables, you've got, you're on the air.
Roland, do you know if that's isolated?
Say again?
Is that isolated?
Yes, that's what this little guy does. This is the optical, has the optical isolation.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah. You really kind of want to have a sound card interface in the middle. I mean, you could plug directly from your microphone output to your speaker input and vice versa, but you're putting voltages across there that maybe not be very compatible with each other. And so you want to get them isolated. They also make a lot of sound card interfaces like this one, which are purpose built. This one is built specifically for an Yaesu FT897. It's got that plugs into the data port on the back of the FT897. It also works with the FT8900, which is a UHF VHF radio. I've got one, so does Casey, and several others. And it plugs into your computer. These are about $60, $50, $60, but they work. They work really well, and they're specific for a very specific radio. And then this is the $100 solution. This is a signal link. On the front of it are some dials. The one on the left, you can set the levels, the sound levels for the transmit side. You can set the sound levels for the receive side. You can also set the delay for how long does it wait before it actually triggers the push to talk button. On the back of it is the place to go from your computer to the sound card interface, and from here to your radio. You can also plug in a monitor speaker, into the device as well. On the inside, it's got all of the optical isolation that goes along with it. But then you get a little module that plugs into here, which configures this thing for the radio you want to use. And that little module, for instance, would configure this thing for working with the ICOM 8800, which is the radios that we have over at the Emergency Operations Center, and the UHF, VHF radios we have in the trailer. And then this would be an example of a cable that goes from the signal link and plugs into the data jack on the back of the ICOM 8800. Kind of affair. They also make, I'll find it here. Here it is. I haven't opened this one yet, but they also, Signal Link also makes one that goes to a Baofeng. And and there's and they make a little module in here, to make the cross wires so that it's configured correctly for your Baofeng radio. So with all of that, there is no particular reason other than spending a little bit of money for you not to be able to set up some kind of a digital capability, a digital station capability with in order to be able to do some of this thing. And I'd encourage you to do that. I'm thinking that we would find that it would be very, very beneficial and very useful for us. So we're going to be setting up a Zoom discussion group, and we'll be looking at some other options on how we might be able to put together like a little special interest group, specifically for doing FM digital communications. And so we could do some of this stuff going forward. All right, that's all I have. I'm open for questions now.
Oh, I have two questions. One of which with the BTEC radio that I have that has the digital port, because I have the digital programming cable, but that's completely different, right? You couldn't use that.
Yeah, it would be different. The digital communication, but a BTEC, I'm sure they have a cable.
Okay, but the digital port could be used to actually transmit digital information.
Yes, that's what it's there for.
Okay.
Some radios, by the way, call it a TNC.
Okay, TNC, and then
terminal node controller.
Okay, and then with the ICOM 7300, it already has a audio.
Yes, it does.
Card, so
and
I wouldn't need anything for that one when I get my general.
And by the way, I mean, you've been using FT8 with your 7300. FL Digi works exactly the same way, just a different program.
Oh, okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
Quick question, Roland.
Go ahead.
Do the Anytones have a digital port, or?
I didn't quite catch that. Say it one more time.
Do the Anytone on DMR radios have a digital port, or?
Okay, I think the Anytone does have a data port on the back of it. Mine does.
I'm gonna have to check mine out and see if it does. Where did I find it? Just on the back?
Yeah, it'll be on the back of the radio.
So I've got the latest in Anytone, the 878 plus. So
yeah, I'll look. You can look it up, but I'm pretty sure, Casey, it has a data jack on it, data port on it. Anybody else have a question? All right, gang. If anybody,
I have one question for you. Can you use like tablets or other alternatives?
Yes, you can. The Android-based tablets work a little bit better than the iPad-based tablets do, only because you got to have two cables in order to be able to connect stuff together out of an iPad. But the Android tablets and Android phones, there's a lot of these applications, and as I do think there is an FL Digi variant available that will run on an Android phone. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It on a Kindle, would you work with that?
Okay, I didn't quite catch that.
On a Kindle.
On a Kindle?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Hey, Roland.
I've got a question for you.
Go ahead.
You were talking about maybe doing some sort of a Zoom meeting for those interested in getting that going. When do you plan to do that? What's the thoughts on that?
Okay, yeah, that's the big question. It's probably going to have to happen on the weekend, sometime, because during the week I just literally have no time, available. I teach a CW class on Mondays and Thursdays. On Tuesdays I'm teaching the technician class, and Wednesdays are these meetings, the Velma night meetings, and the TCEM meetings, and so it's probably going to have to be on the weekend, but it'll be within the next week or two. I'll get it sent out and going.
Hey, Roland, Hal.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a question for you. Is this briefing going to be available anywhere on the internet so I can get a copy of it in paper?
Yeah, this recording is, this meeting is being recorded. It'll be up on the internet tomorrow.
But what about a copy of the briefing? You just pull that from the internet recording?
What recording?
How do I get a copy of the actual pitch that you have, your slides?
Okay, yeah, I'll put the slides up on the website.
Fantastic, good. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody
Roland,
else?
this is Mike, KJ7BPL. Quick question. So with all these different things that you're talking about and the bandwidths and everything, do you have to have a specific class of license to do all this?
Yeah, you got to have a technician class license to do this up in the VHF, UHF bands.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Roland?
You have to have a general or higher in order to be able to do any of the digital stuff out on the HF bands, other than 10 meters. And 10 meters, we can do all of this on 10 meters with the technician.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Hey, Roland?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm taking a look at the 878 Plus. I don't see a data port on it, but it does have Bluetooth. Is it possible to build a Bluetooth adapter?
I don't know. I don't know the radio, so I don't know. I think that's a good challenge for you, Casey, while you're getting yourself well and healthy. And anybody else have a question or a comment?
Roland, I do have a question, not related to the presentation, which thanks for that, by the way. We've worked with FL Digi before, as you know, and have helped us out with. But we were planning, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but haven't set a date on a test session to be held at my high school sometime. We were hoping for maybe late February, but now I'm thinking early March. And I just wanted to kind of put that out there as a possibility if anyone's looking to upgrade or knows anyone who needs to test. This will be a test session that's open to anybody, and it'll be during the day. So I'll get with you to schedule that. We're looking kind of hoping for early March on that.
That'd be great. I'm serious. We're looking forward to it. Okay. Anybody else have anything on any topic related to ham radio? Go ahead.
This is Gene, KC7MBF. Is there anybody out there that can wire or hook up a HF radio? I have one and just wires coming out of the back, and I don't know how to do it. So if there's anybody out there, please contact me. I need help.
All right. I need somebody to go help Gene. Gene, you've been vaccinated too, right?
I get my second shot tomorrow.
Okay.
Hey, me too.
Because tomorrow is the 28th day.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else on any topic related to ham radio?
Yeah, Roland, I'm interested in getting this going as well, but I'll need your help. I'll get with you on Facebook or something.
Okay, good enough. All right, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
Who was that?
I second it.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Hal seconds it.
And who was that?
Hal Meyer.
Okay, good enough. According to Robert's rules, we don't have to vote on it. If we get a motion and a second, we can adjourn. 73, everybody.
73.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a good
Hey,
evening.
Roland.
Yeah.
You notice that I'm able to get the voice on this now. I figured out what was doing wrong.
Oh, good. Good for you.
So this is the first time I've had the voice.
Good. Well, we're glad it's nice to hear you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. 73.
Good evening.
Have a good one. 73.